This episode of Blacklisted MX is brought to you by Slow Ride Garage. Make sure you check out their website at www.slowride.com. If you like this merch, what you see here, they got all this plus a lot more. Some of the tightest merch out there on the shelves right now, I must say. And it all looks good. It feels good. It's all good. So make sure you check out their website, the official sponsors of Blacklisted MX, and that is www.slowride.com. And don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button. Help spread the family of Blacklisted MX. I like to see it grow. I appreciate the subscribers who are tuning in and staying involved with the channel. Much respect, much love. But make sure you go check out slowride.com. We are back at it again. Blacklisted MX has brought another special guest. A lot of guys know of Richie Owens. This is his name, Richie Owens, but the new generation probably don't know too much about you, Richie, but you were one hell of a supercross rider. You were one hell of an outdoor rider, and you had a nice run as an amateur rider. You actually rode for one of those teams that kind of, as an amateur, that stood out, you know, pretty good, and those guys pretty much had some top good riders. Every time you would hear about that team, which was Thousand Oaks Kawasaki, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
That team always was kind of like in the amateur headlines, and they made their presence known when they were around. At what age, Richie, man, did you start actually riding for that team?
So it wasn't till about 2001 is when I got my Team Green deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I was about 18. I was a little late on everything as far as my racing career went on. So yeah, I was about 18, riding for Thousand Oaks Kawasaki with Team Green, and that was in 125 intermediate class, and kind of went from there. And they were great. Everyone from Thousand Oaks was awesome, and it was a good time.
How I got wind of you, I was actually reading Final Lap magazine, and I believe there was an article that was written about you, the team you rode for, and it was kind of like a bio on you. And I was like, okay, who's this guy? And so, you know, fast forward maybe a few months later or so, I was at Glen Helen, and I believe it was California State Championship qualifier race. And I'm sitting there in the parking lot or at the track just kind of doing my thing, and I see the Thousand Oaks box van pull in. I'm like, I wonder if Richie's going to be in that box van this race. Lo and behold, you were there. You showed up. You fucking rode excellent. And from that point, man, I became a fan, dude.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, it was good times. Like I said, it all went pretty fast for me. I didn't start riding a dirt bike until I was 13 years old.
Wow.
In 1996. So from that time to 2001, you know, it was fast. And as soon as I got on with Kawasaki, everything kind of just accelerated really fast. And so it was all, you know, it was all a dream. You know, it was fun, and it was all going really too fast.
I know, to start at 13, getting a late start, and then already pretty much being pro at 18, you had to have some type of damn skill level, man. You had to. It was almost like a natural talent to be able to just go through the ranks that quick. Who put you on a bike at 13?
So it'd be my uncle, which would be my dad, and he rode quads, and so I was around motorcycles and quads, and he raced quads, and I watched him race quads, and yeah, I rode in the desert with him, and we went to Glamis, and we did those family trips and everything, and you know, I loved it. And I actually I got started at school. I met Brian McGavern and Sean Hamlin, which were local kids in my area in Wildemar growing up, and I got my first dirt bike from them at 13 years old, and got all their hand-me-down gear and all this stuff, and yeah, and it just went from there, and I loved it. I used to go out and watch them ride all the time, and started going to races and watching them, and just took off.
So when you got this ride, when you went through the ranks, and like I remember you because I followed you from the ranks when I first got wind of you. I kind of shadowed you around as far as like watching you race and progress. Did you have anything to do when you hit the pro ranks? Did you have anything to do with Pro Circuit Kawasaki?
I did. Well, riding for Team Green, I rode for Pro Circuit through that time, and then when I turned amateur pro, part of my deal with Team Green and Pro Circuit was to go to Loretta's, and if I got a top three, I had that chance to go on to Pro Circuit into Supercross and stuff. So I had that contract and that going, and so when that time came, it didn't all work out for me at Loretta's. I had a bike problem,
Mm-hmm.
um, and so I went to Mitch and was like, "Hey, man, I want a shot." And so I went to the last outdoors after Loretta's, Steel City, and Mitch gave me a shot on his bike. I rode actually Eric Sorby's bike,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I went out and got 10th at Steel City, and went back to Mitch and was like, where do we go from here? And he's like, well, I want you on the team. And I was like, okay. He's like, but I got to talk to Kawasaki because I already got my team filled. And so he came back and was like, hey, Kawasaki has a different plan for you, so that we can't get you on the team. But they have this new team, satellite team that they're starting up, and it's going to be with WBR. And I was like, okay. And, going back now, looking back at that, doing the WBR team wasn't the greatest choice.
No, wait. The WBR team was a Suzuki team that I think Buddy Antoness was that the WBR team that Buddy Antoness ran during that time.
No, so it started off with Kawasaki. So it was me and Troy Adams,
Okay.
the first year with Kawasaki,
Mm-hmm.
and Scott Sheik ran it,
Okay.
and then something kind of fell apart with Scott Sheik and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
the next year, because I signed a 2-year deal with them, and the next year they went to Suzuki, and that was when we
Okay.
had Ryan Stipes and Morris, and it was myself, and
Okay.
that was kind of the year it really WBR kind of blew up. They got a semi and all the stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
fun year.
You made your switch over to Honda. Why did you jump on the Hondas?
Well, so after Suzuki, I actually went to Moto World with Yamaha, and then after that, I really didn't have anything going on. I was kind of uh, just didn't have much going on, and I went to Honda with Richardson's RV,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a fun year. I got to pick out all my stuff that I wanted on the bike and everything. But honestly, by that time, I was kind of checked out with riding in
Mm-hmm.
general, and I was just trying to make things go.
Yeah, I remember a battle that you had, um, and I was at home watching it. It was one of the nationals, and I don't know if you recall this battle. I don't recall exactly what track it was at, but it was coming down to like the last couple corners, and it was you and Grant Langston, I believe. And I think he made maybe the last pass on you, like in one of the last corners, just to take the checker flag. I don't know if it was for a qualifier or was it for the actual main. I believe it was one of the motos. It might have been Moto 1 or Moto 2, but he barely edged you out. And you had some crazy battles with these top guys, man. What is like one of your most battles that you kind of reflect on now since you don't race anymore?
um, as far as being a pro was kind of there was like a pro am kind of race that was at Glen Helen, and a lot of pros showed up to it. I think Mike Brown showed up, and I think Langston and all these guys showed up. And I turned pro, but I was still trying to make a name. And I went out and battled those guys pretty hard at Glen Helen, and that was fun. And that was a good memory. But as far as like doing the actual outdoor circuit and everything, it was rough. It
Mm-hmm.
was I had some good motos and some good times here and there, but it was rough. And those guys doing outdoors and for myself too, it's a battle and
Yeah.
Supercross, and it's a long series. And man, you when a race doesn't go well and you go home and it's like banging your head against the wall every day, trying to get
Yeah.
faster and better and train harder and do everything. And it's hard to go out on the weekend and perform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was fun.
Now how long was your stretch for? Since you turned 18, how long did you stay in the game for?
So I was actually just actually pro riding Supercross and Moto outdoors. Was only 4 years.
Okay. That was a good stretch, though, man. 4 years to make it at that level and have some of those battles that you did and kind of stood out, for that stretch that you did had, man, was pretty incredible for yourself because you kind of crept through the amateur ranks quick, then hopped into pros, and then bam, like, who's this guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I enjoy watching you race all the time, man. Every chance I got, I enjoyed your flow. Like, I started seeing you kind of over the years, kind of back out of the races, do races here and there. What was the straw that broke the camel's back that pretty much put you out of the sport? Why did you decide to, pack it up, hang your helmet up, hang your boots up, and was like, you know what, I'm done with this. Time to move on.
Well, there was a little bit to kind of the industry itself, and a lot of it was I was kind of moto wise of age. I was getting old,
Hmm.
and so it's kind of I had to sit back and think about what I wanted, and what I had going on, and how much longer could I push this, and the risk to reward kind of was really small.
Hmm. Yeah.
Per se. I
Hmm.
was only making. I think my last 2 years, I was only making like $20,000 a year,
Wow.
and and I felt like I was putting in a lot more effort than that,
Hmm.
I also my results weren't showing for it, and so it was kind of I just had to sit back, and it was kind of it was a '08 year where the economy was crashing, and as far as getting bikes and gear and everything was easy. I could do it was no problem.
Hmm.
It was just getting to the races and
Hmm.
having that support. Kind of was running out. Teams were folding, and I don't know. I just had to sit back and think about what I wanted in life and what I want heading forward. So
Now, once you made that decision and you decided, like, you know what, fuck, I'm done. I don't want to do this. I'm getting up there in age. Did you ever consider coming back into the sport? Because a lot of guys leave the sport and like 2 years later, it's like, fuck, I really missed this shit, man, and they end up being back in the sport for another couple years and before they retire again. So did you ever have that decision? Did you ever make that
uh,
decision or wanted to come back into the sport?
there was a couple years after. I think I did like the Elsinore Grand Prix and stuff. I used to like doing that stuff, and it was fun, by my house. And every once in a while, I'd get a wild hair, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna do this again. Let's go do it a try. And my dad would be like, yeah, I'll get you a bike. Let's go. And then reality would set in, and I was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't do this.
Damn, damn, damn. So what are you doing now, man? I mean, because once you stopped racing, you kind of got a little quiet on your social media stuff. And then I was like, man, where's this guy Richie? I haven't heard from him in years and stuff. And then I seen you once. I was like, Glen Helen. You were on a Kawasaki. It was some weird build. I think it was a KX 250F, but it had a 252 stroke motor in it at the time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so there was, like I said, a couple years after I raced, I would do some random races, and I think it was for the two stroke. They had like a two stroke race, a two stroke championship race or whatever. And yeah, it was a four stroke 250F frame with a 252 stroke motor in it. And the bike was fun. It was great. And I used to like going out and just doing those kind of races.
Hmm.
They're fun. But yeah, when I stepped away, I just stepped away and was quiet. I had a lot of things going on in life. I
Hmm.
met my wife and had a kid, and just the whole thing growing up.
Yep.
How to find a real job, and
Yeah,
all-
yeah. That's good,
but
man. Man, you're looking good after all those years, man. Do you actually get out and go to any races? Do you ride? When's the last time you actually put your foot over a bike, your leg over a bike?
man, it's been a long time.
Really?
Yeah, it's been
You
a while.
you don't even
Yeah.
get that bug at all no more, huh? Like,
No, I do, and actually, a couple years ago, my boys were asking me. I have two little boys; they're 11 and 8, and 9 now, and I had them with bicycles doing the pump track,
mm-hmm.
and they were wanting to ride, and so I got a pump track bike with them, and we were out going to the pump tracks and stuff, and I crashed and got knocked out,
Hey.
and busted my face open. I broke my face from like my eye socket all the way down to the
Oh
front of my.
shit.
And at this time, this was a couple years ago, so I was like 38,
Mhm.
37, and I was like, man,
Mhm.
this
Yeah.
hurts.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah.
So I just kind of, man, it hurts, and I know how bad it hurts. So I kind of
Yeah.
just stay off of it as much as I'd like to.
Mhm.
But I do get out to the races when they come into town and stuff. I do get out to
Okay.
the races and watch Supercross, and I try to watch on TV and keep up with outdoors and try to keep up with everybody and
Mhm.
still love it. Just not a part of it anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, totally understand, totally respect that, man. Everybody's lives have like different paths that they take, man. Once because this motocross shit is difficult, mentally, physically, and pocket in your pockets, man. It's an expensive sport, and when you don't make shit, even as a pro, these guys still complain. They're not making enough money. You got other decisions you got to make to better yourself, right? So can't always run in place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and it's crazy. I know. There's some guys out there that are making some good money not these days,
Hmm.
but man, back then, I think I watched something with like Billy Laninovich, and he said, he was only making like 70,000 or 20,000, and that's crazy,
Yeah, yeah,
still crazy. And
for
I
real.
was same kind of way, riding with
Hmm.
WBR, and uh, I was only making $20,000 a year, and,
Man, man.
and anything else on top of that was kind of a contingency or
Hmm.
your other sponsors or whatever you had going on, but it wasn't a lot more. And
Hmm.
but yeah, just think about that today of $20,000. I was like, man, I
Yeah.
wouldn't live off that for nothing.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, you're doing tricks for peanuts and shit, man. You can't survive off that, man. That's just nothing,
No,
nothing at all. But man, you
no,
had you had an interesting career though, to say the least, man. Just in that short spurt, man. And Rich, man, it was a pleasure having you on the show. I thank you, man. And like I said, you're welcome back anytime, man.
man, I appreciate it. It says my first podcast, and
Mhm.
I enjoyed it. It was fun. Yeah, I would love to be back on and talk about some more stuff, and yeah, it'd be great.
Cool. You still keep up with all the guys that you rode with?
You know what, man? I don't as much as I'd like to. I think about Andy Backen, I keep up with every once in a
Okay.
while. I talk to him.
Hmm.
Uh, Other than that, I don't keep up with
Yeah.
any.
Yeah.
Back in Marietta, my kids were playing flag football and stuff, and I'd run in every once in a while. I'd run into I think Ryan Morris had his boys out there playing,
Hmm.
and we and who else? There was someone else too. I was like, man, I recognize that last name, and kids out there playing. It's funny to have all of us dads that used to ride, out
Yep.
there watching kids play sports and stuff. It's fun.
Exactly. Now it's time to put your energy into the kids, man, and watch them develop into what they want to do. So,
Yeah, it's a full time thing now. I got my boys. One's playing football and one's playing baseball. It's an ongoing thing, and hopefully they can keep it going.